Hello and welcome back to the JCMoseleyFC Podcast with me, Elliot, and my friend Christian. Hi, Christian.
Hi, Elliot. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Just excited to uh, start season 3 of our podcast, episode 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So today we're going to be kind of reviewing the Club World Cup a little bit. So towards the end of season 2, our last episode, we were actually together in New York to see a couple of games, or to see one of the games for Chelsea in the Club World Cup. But when we recorded that, we didn't quite know how that had finished. So we know that now. So we'll kind of wrap that up. We'll take a look at some of the big transfers that are happening as well, and then we'll just kind of look ahead to the season, make some predictions, and yeah, it's gonna be great. So you want to jump right in with the Club World Cup final?
Absolutely. Yes, to be honest, I was hoping, I don't know if you remember during our last episode, I was really hoping that Chelsea will win. I believe that there was a chance, but honestly, I didn't really believe that, this was going to happen. And honestly, it was a surprise to be in the final, first of all, and then to win it, and also the way that we won it. It wasn't very, it was like a walk in the park, like, we say. It was like super easy, 3-0, incredible, man. I was really surprised to see that. And yeah, what about you, Ali? What do you think about that? Like, what the final, going to the final for Chelsea?
Well, I mean, I've got to give you credit because when we did our predictions at the end of season 2, you stuck with it and you said, I think we're going to do it, that Chelsea's going to win it, and you turned out to be right. And I was very negative and pessimistic, and I didn't think we were going to win it. But yeah, I mean, I think it surprised a lot of people. I think the fact that Chelsea were in the final wasn't a huge surprise. I mean, in on paper we did have an easier side of the bracket compared to, PSG had to play Bayern, Real Madrid to get to the final. So they on paper had a harder route to the final, but you at the end of the day you can only beat what's in front of you. And I think coming to that final, Chelsea PSG, not many people, me included, didn't really give Chelsea much of a chance of winning that, to be honest. PSG been the best team in Europe. There's no doubt about that. They scoring goals for fun. They had only conceded 1 goal up until the final in the entire tournament. So I think I didn't see a world in which Chelsea were going to win. But you know what? The way that Maresca set the team up, the way that he kind of adjusted some things tactically a little bit to get players further up the pitch or in different kind of positions to have maximum impact. And and then credit to the players as well for every single player on the pitch I thought put a 10 out of 10 performance in, especially in that first half. I mean, Robert Sanchez, that looked like somebody else that looked like a completely different goalkeeper in that final.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Honestly, I was pleasantly surprised to see that. But I don't agree with people say that we had the easiest side of the bracket, because sure it looks on paper like that, but there is a reason why we had the easiest side of the bracket. It's because the top European teams like Atletico Madrid, even Porto, they didn't make it to the round of 16, and you can't blame Chelsea for that. And on top of that, Al Ahly that beat Manchester City, that has been dominating the Premier League for God knows how long, for the past half a decade. Was defeated by Al Ahly. Not Al Ahly. It's the team from Saudi Arabia. I apologize. Al Hilal. Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Al Ahly is from Egypt. It's a great size, by the way, an African team. But yeah, Al Hilal defeated Manchester City. Like, you can't blame Chelsea for that, because technically, I saw a Manchester City Chelsea semifinal. That's what I was predicting, and then they lost. So, and Atletico Madrid didn't make it to the round of 16. So many other teams didn't make it to the round of 16. So, you can't really blame Chelsea for being on the easy side of the bracket, because everybody had the same opportunity. And, we got there, and then those Brazilian teams that took that took those great teams, other teams, we defeated them. We had to beat Palmeiras, and then we also had to beat also the other team semifinal, but Flamengo, I think.
Fluminense.
No, it wasn't Flamengo.
Fluminense.
Fluminense, yeah. So we defeated a top Brazilian team, Palmeiras, in the quarterfinals. We defeated them, Fluminense. And Fluminense that beat Al Hilal, that beat Manchester City. And also Benfica topped the group. People keep forgetting that. The reason why we faced Benfica in the round of 16 is because they beat Bayern Munich. They were the better team in that group. Otherwise, it would have been Bayern Munich on our side of the bracket. So I really think that at the end of the day, we deserve it. Chelsea Football Club deserved it. Nobody can say that. It wasn't like an easy walk in the park that people say. It was not easy. We had the same kind of, we just defeated the teams that beat the better teams earlier on. That was not our fault. And in the final, we defeated PSG fair and square. And it wasn't like we went to the PKs or we just scored a lucky last minute goal. We literally walked all over them. 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you see the results of the football game and it's 3-0, it was like super easy game. It was like, the team pretty much gave up 3-0. There's nothing that people can say about that. So, but I also want to say credit to, the Chelsea board, like bringing João Pedro in the middle of the campaign. And then also Delap, bringing him in, bringing that. I think that's, Chelsea Football Club really did a good job and we deserve the championship. So I want to make sure that to all the haters out there, no, Chelsea didn't have an easy walk, to the final. That is not true because Manchester City lost in the round of 16, and you can't blame Chelsea for that. Real Madrid, Benfica that defeated Bayern Munich, that's why they had. That was the one outside of the bracket. Otherwise, it would have been Bayern Munich on outside of the bracket. So that's really what I believe.
Well, and people can say what they want, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Chelsea that has the World Champions badge for the next 4 years. So
exactly.
That speaks for itself, man.
Absolutely.
About the rest of the tournament in general, there was obviously some things that were a little different. You had the players walking out individually. We had the referee cams. Just some kind of different things that were being trialed. What did you think about some of that stuff?
Yeah, I think I like some stuff that I saw, like the cams with the referees, and also I like the that the referee, whenever they made a decision, they had to speak on the speaker so the whole stadium knew what was going on. I think that was really cool. Because in the past we'd be like, why did they make that decision? Why didn't they see what was wrong with it? And now we saw that they have to tell everybody that justify the decision pretty much. So that's what happened in that World Cup. But I didn't like how players were walking by themselves. They were announcing that each player was walking individually. I just love the transition of football. It's working. It's always been like that. When we were little kids, we see like the players coming out of the tunnel together and like shaking hands. Like, just don't change that, man. This is the classic. That's what makes football special.
Well,
and I just like that.
I think too, it's a team sport. Why are we not bringing out the team as a whole? It's like, but I think that's partly the culture of football at the moment as well. Is spotlight on individual players. I mean, it's been that way for a while, but I don't know. I agree with you. I wasn't really a huge fan of that. I did like the referee cam to see replays. I probably wouldn't want to see that live, but I agree with you. The referees announcing the decisions for the VAR. It's just a small little thing that they should have done when they brought VAR in. Like it wasn't even that difficult for them to do. It didn't take that long. The fans needed to know what was going on in the stadium, and it was like one of the games we were at. We had that. There was a VAR, the penalty got overturned, and we heard the referee kind of announce the decision, and it's like, okay, we kind of know what's going on, versus I've been in stadiums before when they are doing a VAR announcement, and you've got no clue what's happening. There's no announcement, there's no replay on the big screen, none of that. So yeah, I think that was good. One of the other things I was going to ask you about was kind of the weather and the conditions and the attendance rates, and whether you think that would be a concern for the World Cup next year, of course being held out in the US as well. I kind of felt like this Club World Cup was maybe a bit of a trial run for FIFA to kind of see what would go well and what wouldn't for the World Cup next year. And I don't know, I think especially concerning like attendance and some of the delays with weather and things like that, there's definitely some concerns there, I think. But what do you think?
Yeah, I really believe that the weather is a bad thing. Is a big problem. Honestly, you don't want to have a World Cup final that will be delayed by 2 hours. But at the end of the day, the player's safety and the fan safety comes first. And the World Cup is still a year away, so they still have the choice to move some games indoors. But that's how the weather is like in the US. July between June and July, it's like thunderstorms, flooding. You know, it's always been like that, lightning and everything. So even like I played in the league, and then we had to stop a couple of games because it was lightning, and we had to postpone them. I mean, it just happens. It's all over the place. So they kind of knew this is how the weather is like in the Americas, in North America at least, during that time period. Just to adapt. I just really hate it when the Europeans were just complaining about everything. Honestly, there's some valid points, but complaining about the heat, come on, man, it's summertime and it's hot in Europe at this time of the year. Like, people die in Europe like crazy around this time of the year because of the heat, and they are used to play the European Championship with this heat. So 80, I mean, I heard 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and some players were indoor because of that. I'm like, this is, no, come on, man. That is literally, as you say in the US, this is being soft. Literally, that is being soft. And I can go use another word, but I don't want to use that during our podcast. But I'm sure you know what I'm trying to use here. But seriously, like, this is literally being soft, man. Like 85-degree Fahrenheit. Oh my God, it's too hot. I don't want to be outside. Like, bro, come on. Just, you know, this stuff like that. They were just complaining. And then also, why would you put some games at 3 p.m. on a Monday? No, this is America. Like, it's not like Spain where, no offense to Spanish people listening to a podcast, but it's not like Spain where they have la siesta, where they can go like for 2 hour lunch break. This is the America. Like, we work like crazy here. Like, we don't have time. If you don't have PTO, you're gonna miss money, and you miss out on money. You won't be able to afford your mortgage or your rent, your car payment. It's not like 3 p.m. like people have meetings. Like, no, I just think, sure, you want to have the Europeans to watch the games, but you also have, if you want more fan engagements, you definitely need the games later in the day. Especially it's hot also, like at 3 p.m. Put in place, and like, why would you put a game at noon in LA? Like, it's hot in LA in June. Like, I've been there like around that time. It's so hot there, right? At this point, like, the sun is burning you like that time.
Yeah.
So obviously, so I really don't know what they're gonna decide. They're gonna put players' well-being, but I heard about how sometimes they're gonna put some games early in the morning, which I hate that idea. But what do you think, Elliot?
I'm not a fan of the games being earlier on in the day. I agree. I think a lot of the issues with the Club World Cup were to do with scheduling. I think too, the majority of the games were played on the East Coast of the US, which I believe tends to have more extreme weather in terms of thunderstorms and things like that compared to the West Coast. And I believe that certainly within the US, the World Cup venues are going to be spread out a little bit more. I think you have to, for me personally, I feel like the important thing for the players is the atmosphere in the stadium. And I would want to prioritize scheduling games at a time when fans can be there and enjoy it, rather than trying to cater to audiences around the world. I mean, the reality is, when we've had World Cups in other parts of the world, when there's been European World Cups, like people in Asia and Australia, Japan, wherever, like, they have to adapt, and they have to, if they want to watch the game, they watch it at the time it's scheduled. So I think they just have to cater to the local audience, is what I think, in terms of scheduling to get people in the stadium. I mean, I think that also is one of the problems that I had with this Club World Cup is, some of the games were just, there were so many empty seats, and it just felt, for something that FIFA is saying is supposed to be the biggest club competition, it just felt like a bit of a joke, really, and maybe that was partly because they were scheduling these games in bigger stadiums than they could fill. I mean, to be fair, towards the end of the tournament, semifinals and final was pretty good attendance, but I'd much prefer to see the stadiums full and have to stay up till 1 a.m. to watch a game than, watch a game, but there's 10 fans in the stadium. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my feeling on it anyway.
I agree. Those NFL stadiums are huge, because the NFL is usually in the US. They're always packed. Like I've yet to see an NFL stadium that is broadcasted on live with empty seats. It's always full, and then they have like 70,000 plus people in there every single game. So, to be fair, I think that I really believe that they need to do something about that, because the World Cup, the Club World Cup, it was good. It was the first edition. You can understand that you had to warm people up to the idea, and develop new ideas. Which it was still a very successful tournament, to be honest. But I think that for the World Cup, we can afford to have empty seats. It doesn't matter if Uzbekistan and Somalia is playing. Like, this should be a packed stadium. But I think they also need to adjust it to the sense where don't put Uzbekistan and Somalia, 70,000, stadium, 70,000 places, seats stadium. Put it in 20,000, seat stadium. But I don't know. I know they already picked the stadiums and all of that, so it's gonna be hard. But I know that it's there to choose. But I think that they just have to learn from it. They have to adapt. When you go to do a World Cup, when they did the World Cup in Qatar, they had to adapt to it. They moved to December. They had to adapt, to do some adaptations. The same thing they can do it in the United States. They just don't come here and complain about all the weather is bad, it's too hot. Just adapt to it. Find ways to make it work. And the US hosts major events every year. Like, every year there's something going on in the United States, and you don't see other people complaining about, like, how people were complaining about this Club World Cup. It's hot. Like, what do you expect? Like, snow in June, in July in New York? Like, no, come on. But anyway, I think it was a successful Club World Cup, but they have to learn from it. A very good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, better because Classical Club won the whole thing. But I still believe that they can improve it and can make it better. And I'm excited for 2029, how better it's going to be for sure. We want to thank our sponsor, Bill's Treasury app. Bill's Treasury app is an application that allows people to track, manage, and pay the bills in one location. So simple to use, it's free to download. You're able to add your bills on the application. You get reminders when they are due, and then you just stay on top of them. It allows you to better manage your finances and improve your credit score significantly. It's available on the App Store and Google Play for free. You can download with a QR code that you see on your screen for free. So we want to thank Bill's Treasury app for the sponsorship. Okay, so talking about the transfers, we're gonna start with Mark ter Stegen, that was injured for most of the season, like 90% of the season. That's why they brought. I forgot the other goalie they brought in. Do you remember that guy's name? The Polish Chesney.
Yeah, Chesney.
And then, he decided he almost left Barcelona, but he's staying. And then, so I'm just gonna go through the updates, and then if you want to talk about something, we can talk about something.
Yeah.
So next one that we have that is major is that, sadly, Jadon Sancho is leaving Chelsea. Obviously, we tried to sign him a permanent signature. He was on loan, and apparently there were some issues with his salary, and he refused. I think he's gonna regret it. I mean, obviously, he's probably regretted already, because he could have been a world champion right now.
Yeah, I would have liked to have signed him. I mean, I think, he's had his issues in the past, but I think he did a good job for us. I mean, he did all right for us. He was a good option on that left wing. We needed players there, especially losing Mudryk. So I'm kind of a little disappointed that we didn't make that deal permanent, but it sounds like it was, like you said, to do with the wages and not any kind of personal issues. So, that's fair enough. If wish him all the best. and hope he does well elsewhere. But yeah, it was a little sad to miss out on signing him permanently. I think he would have fit well long term, and he would have been a good squad player for us for sure.
Yeah, I think obviously it wasn't the greatest season, but I think it wasn't a bad season either. He scored a goal in the final of the Conference League, and he was a pretty reliable player overall. And Ronaldo is signed a permanent deal with Al Nassr for 2 more years. So he's going to play until he's 42 years old. So
that
he's
was an
staying.
interesting one because there was talk about him joining a club for the Club World Cup and being able to play in that, and we weren't sure what was going to happen there, but he ended up staying in. He's ended up staying, like you said, signing a new deal. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think that was just for him because do you notice obviously he's making like $2 million a year, 200, not 2 million, $200 million a year, something like that, probably more than that, something around that amount. And then he has like 14 or 20 servers for him, like drivers, people that take care of his family, because he has like 5 or 6 kids. So he's literally living like a king in Saudi Arabia right now. Which,
Yeah.
like, I will not blame you. I mean, if you go back to Europe, you're gonna lose that luxurious life. Or if you want to keep that same life, you're gonna spend more money, and he's not gonna make $200 million in Europe a year in Europe. That's impossible. So if I were him, I would do the same thing. Especially because you're also gonna be you're pretty much guaranteed to play the World Cup next year with Portugal because you deserve it. You play really well when you play for Portugal. So why would he leave? Why would he go to Benfica or Sporting when he's gonna make like $10 million a year while he makes 200 million in Saudi Arabia? So
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. Liam Delap that moved to Chelsea. He's the first striker we bought this summer. To be honest, I didn't really know him. I mean, I heard of him with this team that got relegated to Championship this season, but I didn't really know what he was about. What do you think? Do you think it's a good signing?
I mean, he proved last season that he can score and be effective in the Premier League. So that's a positive sign. I think he's somebody that's worked with the coaching staff at Chelsea. Enzo Maresca used to be the coach at the Man City academy, and so he's coached Delap. He knows Delap. Like Delap's played with Cole Palmer and some of the other people that have come to Chelsea from the City academy. So there's already a connection there, which I think is good. But I think still definitely unproven. I think he could do well, but it's a bit of a gamble, I think, in my opinion. I mean, we'll have to see how it goes. We'll have to see how much game time he actually gets. But I think could potentially be a solid signing for us. I hope that's the case.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Honestly, I mean, I know he's done a pretty good job at the Club World Cup, but we're gonna see how he does in the Premier League and then the Champions League. There's so many competition we gonna be involved in this upcoming season, so we're gonna see what he does.
Yeah.
And do you know about Brian Buemo that joined United? I have no idea what this guy is. I guess he's a good signing for them. I think he's a striker. What do you think about him?
Yeah, from Brentford. I think he had a good season last season in the Premier League. He was up there, double digits in goals, I think, and was kind of one of the most important players for Brentford last season. And I think he'll be a good addition to that United squad. The way that things are at Man United right now, I just can't understand why anybody would want to go there, to be honest. It feels a little bit like career suicide for a player to go there, but maybe things will change with a full preseason under Ruben Amorim, and they've brought some other people in as well, so who knows? But it seems like from what I've been reading, he wanted the move. Brian Mbeumo wanted the move. He wanted to move to United, so I guess we'll just have to see how it pans out. But I think on paper that could be a good signing for them.
And we have Modric that joined AC Milan. The great Modric that's leaving Real Madrid. What a great signing! What a great signing for them. I know he's on the older side, but he's probably gonna bring something like experience to that Milan, and and also he's not preparing for the World Cup because it's definitely going to be his last World Cup. This coming
Yeah,
World Cup.
I
Very
think
excited.
AC Milan struggled last season, so to bring in some experience and leadership, I think will be a good thing for them.
Joe Bellingham joined Dortmund. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, following
I
in
know there's
his older brother's footsteps.
exactly, yeah, which is good. And then we have Inzaghi that joined Al Hilal. Obviously, he coached them during the Club World Cup. He left Inter the Milan.
Yeah, I think after losing 5-0 in the Champions League final, maybe his time was up at Milan, but I think he still could have done a job at a top European club, but I don't know. The money at Saudi is too difficult to turn down. I mean, to be fair, if I got offered a job for that much, I'd seriously consider it. You know, you would think you'd think about it for sure.
Theo Hernandez joined leaving AC Milan for Al Hilal. We almost signed Mike Maignan, which I'm like, I still think we might regret it, depending on Sanchez, because Sanchez has been really good at the Club World Cup. He did a really good job. He was goalkeeper of the tournament. It just depends on how he does, but I think we might regret it because we almost signed Mike Maignan, who's the number one goalkeeper in France for the French national team. Really good goalkeeper, reliable goalkeeper. So only time will tell if you're gonna regret it or not. But we'll see. The board decided to trust Sanchez for another year at least. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And so the next one that we have on our list here, Jack Grealish was left. Oh, did you notice that Jack Grealish was left out of the Club World Cup? So I think they're trying to kick him out of Man City. Do you think that would be a mistake from them, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was a key player for them a couple of seasons ago. I think when they won the Champions League, I think they actually did the treble that season. And he was a pretty key player for them, but he's not quite hit that same level in the last couple of years. And I think it seems clear based on last season, Pep doesn't really feel he's the best option in that position. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him move on, especially after him being left out of the squad for the Club World Cup. It's just who's going to be able to afford him and who's going to be able to afford the wages. Are there many clubs around Europe that can do that? I don't know.
So we have Kepa that went to Arsenal. Like I was telling one of my friends the other day that I've yet to see a Chelsea player go to Arsenal and have success, have like real success, like Champions League, Premier League. I've yet to see that. But it's always the opposite side, like from Arsenal to Chelsea, it's like an upgrade with the Premier League, like, Ashley Cole, which, who was an Arsenal player, we brought him. And we also brought Giroud, that won the Champions League and Europa League with Chelsea. So I still think that because of all of that, I guess I just don't see success for them, going from Chelsea to Arsenal. It's never been like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't see Kepa being the number one choice at Arsenal either. I mean, David Raya seems to have that spot locked down, so Kepa's going to be a backup keeper. He showed last season he was good at Bournemouth. He could still be a starting goalkeeper for a middle to upper Premier League club. So I'm kind of surprised that he chose to play number 2 at Arsenal instead. But we'll see how it pans out, I suppose.
I guess he wants that Champions League pedigree, and he's probably gonna play like FA Cup, playing the FA Cup with Arsenal, like probably to be the starting goalkeeper for those games.
Yeah, probably.
So I think that he saw all of that and thought this was a better career path for him, which makes sense. And then we have Osimhen that is doing Galatasaray. He won the Super League, which is the equivalent of the Premier League in Turkey, with them, and I think he seems to be happy there. He seems to be doing well. So it looks like they signed him on a permanent transfer after going back and forth with Napoli because he was a Napoli player still. Yeah, a lot of different transfers that happened. Obviously, we got Chelsea signed João Pedro this season, and then we also signed Chelsea also signed the new young Brazilian, the future Brazilian Neymar.
Yeah, Estevao. I think he's looks to be a pretty impressive player so far already. I mean, he's still very, very young, so there's a lot of time for him to get better. I don't see him starting a lot of games for us this season, if I'm being honest. I think they'll try to kind of get him integrated more easily, maybe through playing FA Cup and Carabao Cup games and, substitute appearances, that kind of thing. But he, he scored against us for Palmeiras in the Club World Cup. He looked really good in that game, actually, and he played pretty well throughout the entire tournament. So I think that's definitely an exciting one to watch for sure.
So, and we have Florian, apologies if I say his name wrong, Wirtz, that joined Liverpool from Bayern Munich. Is that correct?
Bayer Leverkusen.
Bayer Leverkusen, yeah. And apparently he's a major signing for them this season.
Yeah, it cost over 100 million euros, I think, too. It was a big money signing, that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a good. I feel like that's a pretty good signing for Liverpool. He's a player that will come in and play in that team pretty well. I think he'll fit what they're trying to do at Liverpool. He looks to be a pretty good player, so I think that'll be a good signing for them. I'm just surprised that Liverpool actually spent that much money on a player, because they haven't tended to spend much money on transfers in the last few seasons.
Absolutely. And we have Paul Pogba, who was suspended for 2 years and then just joined Monaco on a permanent transfer. Yeah, which is exciting. I think he's probably trying to make a comeback, be one of the top players in the French league, trying to make it back to the with the Bleu, the French team, and trying to make the work. I think that's obviously his goal at this point, to try to do it.
To try and play in the World Cup.
Well, we'll see what happens for him. Hopefully, that'll be a really cool story if he comes back and makes it to into the squad, which will be a very tough thing, because the French team is loaded with talent. So it's going to be very hard for him. But I think it was a really good choice to play for a French team, because then if you do really well with the French team that is playing Europe, by the way, playing the Champions League next season, you do really well, you do your best with that team, you can make it easily to the French team, and your name is Pogba. So
yeah.
And then we have Olivier Giroud that decided to. He was he's not retiring yet. He went back to Lille. He was tired of playing MLS. Yeah, a lot of cool transfers honestly this season. I think we pretty much talk about the main ones that we refer to in this section. Obviously, there's a lot more transfers.
I'd throw Trent Alexander-Arnold to
that's what I missed.
Real Madrid in there as well.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, and I know there's still, as we're recording, it's still there's still a couple of weeks or a few more weeks left of the transfer window, so there's still some deals that are kind of rumors, and we're not sure if things have been done yet or not. But did you have any others there that you saw?
Yeah, I wanted to mention Sonny is leaving Tottenham for LAFC. He's coming to the MLS, which is exciting. He's a good player. I think he's probably also getting ready for the World Cup. You come to the US, you get adapt yourself to the environment and everything, and try to push your team as far as possible. So I think he still has some to it, and that just shows that the MLS is a very attractive league. Even from 10 years ago, it's grown a lot, a lot. Nobody really cared about the MLS. It was Son is obviously not at the top of his game anymore, but he's still a top player. And even having a top player like that, it's just to move to MLS is really exciting. So I'm really excited to see talent into the US.
Definitely. Yeah.
And with that, I think we'll be done with our transfer section.
Okay, we are back, and we are going to go around the leagues, kind of give our preview and predictions of kind of what we think might happen this season. So, should we jump right in? We'll start with the Premier League.
Yes, the Premier League, the greatest league, according to us, obviously. It can be. Yeah. So let's start with who you think is going to be the champion this season.
I think that it could be a much closer title race this season. As we've talked about, Chelsea have strengthened, Liverpool have strengthened. I guess I just thought about this too, but one transfer that we forgot to mention was Victor Gyökeres, the striker, going to Arsenal.
That guy.
They've strengthened, and they've brought some other players in too, Nani Madueke, which is another interesting one. But I think they've strengthened as well. I think we could see a really, really competitive title race this season. it's really difficult. It's difficult to say because, you know, City. I think realistically, it's going to be between City and Liverpool. I'd love to say that Chelsea will win the league. I think it might just maybe be a season too soon for us. I don't know. It's probably my bias, but I just don't see Arsenal winning the league anytime soon. To be honest, I mean,
Yeah.
they're in and around in the title race, but I don't know. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I think if I had to pick, I would say I think Liverpool's going to retain the title. I think they're going to win again this year.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to predict who's going to win the league this season. But I think definitely the top four, I believe, to me, and again, I could be wrong, obviously. I think the top four is Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. I don't see United making it to the top four this season. From like 17th or 18th they were last season, maybe not 16th or 17th they were last season. To go to the top four will be a great accomplishment for them. I just don't see that this season. Maybe maybe 2 seasons from now, but it's gonna be very competitive. The Premier League is always so competitive. Let's not forget Aston Villa that is going to try to sneak into the top four again. And hopefully, top five will give Champions League again. So, there'll be 5 teams in the Premier League, from the Premier League in the Champions League again. But it's really hard to predict.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do a bold move, and I want to come back to this in May 2026. That Chelsea will be the Premier League champions. I think I'm pretty good at predictions. Honestly, I really believe that I've been pretty good at predictions. But I just see it coming because we have the momentum. We just came from the Club World Cup we won, and then we have the young players, and also it's a World Cup year. So every time it's a World Cup year, see players seem to just perform the best, because they want to be in the squad. Because especially for the England squad, you have Palmer. We have so many English players on our team. We have Palmer. We have Reece James. They're gonna want to perform because they want to be. Because I think Reece James. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's ever played He has never been at a World Cup. Reece James.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, 2022 he didn't make it to the squad.
2022 he
2018 obviously he was kind of like very young at that time, so he has never been at the World Cup. So this is his chance because there's no guarantee he's going to be at the next World Cup. He could be like washed, like we like to say, or he could be injured. Anything can happen. I mean, look at Ben Chilwell. 2-3 years ago he was one of the best left back in the world, and now he can't even make it to the Chelsea squad anymore. So this is his chance to try to make it to the World Cup this year.
Yeah.
So I think Reece James is going to do everything he can to be in that squad. Palmer. So even Robert Sanchez has incentive. You want to be, even if you're not the starter with Spain, you still want to be at the World Cup. You want to be one of the 3 goalkeepers. So he's gonna want to be there. So it's gonna be a World Cup. So I really believe that, and even João Pedro, he's obviously never played in the World Cup before. So he's gonna want to be a striker for Brazil. He can be the striker for Brazil. He just has to really perform well. So I really think for me, I think Chelsea's going to be the top 4. That will be it. And I think the last 3 that will go down, honestly, it's hard to predict that. But I will go with the teams that just showed up from the Championship. I believe it's Sunderland, and we have Leeds, I think.
Yep, and then Burnley.
Sunderland, Leeds, and Burnley. I see them going down again. Yeah, unless something happens. But that's my prediction. What about you, Ollie? What do you think?
I think the gap's definitely getting bigger between the Premier League and the Championship. Sorry, I think the finances involved make a big impact on that. I don't know. I kind of have a feeling this season that there's going to be a surprise in that relegation battle. I think there's going to be a team that we've been used to seeing do pretty okay that's going to be struggling this season, and my prediction is that team is going to be Brentford. Actually, I think Brentford can struggle because their coach Thomas Frank moved to Tottenham. He's been very, very successful for them. They've lost Mbeumo, who was their best player. They lost Christian Norgard in midfield to Arsenal. They lost their goalkeeper, went to Leverkusen. So they a lot of the kind of core of their squad, including their manager, has kind of been taken away. I don't know. I could totally see Brentford finishing in that bottom three this season. Sorry, Brentford fans. I'd be worried if I was you, to be honest.
They lost a lot of players for sure.
But I know. I think definitely at least two of those three that are coming up will go straight back down again. I think Sunderland will struggle, to be honest. And because they have, I mean, Sunderland haven't been in the Prem for a long time. Leeds and Burnley within recent years have kind of been up and down. So they still have some players in that team, in their teams that have played Premier League football. Sunderland is a bit more of a wild card, so I don't know. I don't see them staying up, to be honest, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it, like you said, a good point made about it being a World Cup season. There's going to be a lot of players that will have that in mind this season when they're playing, and I think that could be a big reason why it's a much more competitive season this year.
But who do you think is going to be top four? Because I know you said Liverpool's going to return the title, but who do you think is going to be top four?
Obviously, top four. I think top four will be not necessarily in this order. It will be Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and City, like you said. I think those are the four strongest placed teams in the league right now. Teams that have strengthened very well. I think Newcastle and Aston Villa will be up there, and I think they'll be challenging again, like they have. Again, if there's a fifth Champions League spot up for grabs this season, I think one of those two could get it. I think, Tottenham and Man United are both still very much in this kind of rebuild stage with new managers and kind of overhaul of the squad a little bit. So I don't think those teams are going to do as badly as they did last season, but I don't think they'll be in that top 5, 6, to be honest. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, me too. Are you ready to move on to Liga McDonald's?
Let's move on to Liga McDonald's.
Yeah. So Liga McDonald's, I like that league, but something needs to change that league. There needs to be more competition because I just don't see anybody beating PSG this season for the title. I think that, however, that we're probably gonna see Lyon do a better season. I think. So I believe that the top three, because that's the automatic qualification spots in France, will be PSG, obviously, Marseille, and Monaco. I think that's gonna be the top three. And the teams that are gonna go down, I don't really watch La Liga McDonald's. It's just hard for me to predict. But I think that Toulouse has been pretty poor the past few seasons, and Nantes has been pretty poor this past seasons. So those are the teams that I see going down. And then one thing I want to mention about this league is that Paris FC is another team from Paris, obviously. So Paris Saint-Germain, Paris FC. And I don't know if you know, they literally are stadiums that are like 100 feet from each other. So that'd be very interesting to see,
They're very close, yeah.
Let's go play at home and away. It's pretty much going to be in the same venue.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, I, to be honest, haven't followed this league enough to make predictions about who I think is going to finish top 3 and be in a relegation fight and those kind of things. But, I mean, PSG seem to just run away with the league most seasons. I think they're going to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to be too bruised from the way in which they lost the Club World Cup final. They'll kind of just pick themselves up and go again. I'm sure of that. Yeah, I think French teams did pretty well in the Champions League last year, so it'll be interesting to see how the French teams do aside from PSG again this year. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think Paris FC coming in and having a more of a local derby there with PSG will just add a different dynamic, which will be one to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we have the next one. Yeah, to La Liga. Let's move to La Liga. I see Real Madrid winning this season because, it's going to be like a revenge season for them. And Xabi Alonso, who's a master at, dominating leagues. I mean, he's done it in Germany. Surprisingly, they haven't lost a single game that season that he won the league with Leverkusen. That was the first time Leverkusen won the Bundesliga too.
Yeah.
So I believe that for me, I think it's going to be the usual. I'll say top 3 because I don't really know who's going to take the 4th spot. But Atletico Madrid, Barcelona and Real Madrid. I think are gonna be top three. Relegation is really hard to predict because I don't really follow those teams at the bottom, to be honest, when it comes to La Liga. But I think that not much surprise. Maybe it's gonna be like more, how you call it, surprise at the top to see who's gonna win between Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and Real Madrid. Best, I predict that Real Madrid is gonna come on top this season.
Yeah, I think for them, new coach, just some changes that they needed after last season that have been made over the summer. I can see them doing well this season. I think we talked about too kind of integrating Mbappe into the team, and obviously he had a great season last season. He was not the reason that Madrid struggled, but I think we're gonna see a little bit more cohesion between that team now, and Barcelona will be chasing them, and I think it will be a very close title race again. I think we had a few years where kind of Real Madrid were a significant level above Barcelona, but I think Barcelona have closed the gap in the last couple of seasons, and obviously winning the league last year helped them out a lot. So, I think Atletico Madrid they'll always be up there in that top three, but unless something miraculous happens, that I don't see them beating either of Real or Barcelona to the title this season. And then relegation again. I mean, I'm not as familiar with that too. Sevilla had a pretty poor season last year, which was kind of surprising by their standards. So they finished just 1 point above the relegation zone. So there'll be one to kind of keep an eye on. A team that had consistent success in Europa League success that they had, where they won that a lot, and they've been a team that's kind of been a force in Europe. So for them to finish that low is worrying for them. So there'll be one to kind of keep an eye on. But I think it'll be a pretty close title race that Real Madrid end up winning. I agree with you on that one.
Oh, you want to move into La Serie A? So La Serie A is honestly, I think I'm gonna watch more Serie A this season. Literally, that's what I'm planning on doing this season, trying to watch more Serie A. I know we're gonna have AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, and Napoli. Yeah, actually, honestly, I think we should also watch more Serie A because it seems like that it's getting more exciting now. Because we don't really know who's gonna win the title anymore as much as we used to in the past. AC Milan is obviously struggling this past season. They finished 8th last season, and they're trying to get back up there. But we have AC Milan, Inter Milan. I keep saying Inter Miami, Juventus, and obviously Napoli. So I believe the top four. I'm gonna put Inter, Juventus, Napoli, and I'm probably gonna put AC Milan there. Our top four. That'd be my prediction for Serie A. And again, I don't really watch the bottom team, so I don't really know who's gonna be in the relegation zone. But it's up to see. What do you think, Elliot?
Yeah, I think the title will probably be one of Inter or Napoli, although I say that, but again, Inter, another team that's gone through a transition. They kind of have an aging squad as well, so maybe not. I mean, I think AC Milan will definitely be stronger this year than they were last year. I think it was a bad year for them last year. They just struggled, but I think they'll come back and they'll be in that top four again. I think Atalanta have been really good in recent seasons as well, and I think they have a good chance of being up there in that top four. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with Napoli, Inter, Atalanta, and Milan. Not Juventus. I don't know. Juventus are a bit of a strange one at the moment. They obviously were a powerhouse, but kind of there's been a shift in Italian football a little bit. And I agree. I mean, I think Serie A has become a lot more competitive, and it's become a lot more of an interesting league. And I think it's one that I'd like to be able to follow more if I can.
Yeah, La Liga Portugal. It's probably gonna be Porto, Sporting, or there's another team, Benfica. The top three probably.
Those will likely be the top three. Yeah. I know Porto definitely struggled last year. I think we weren't following them super closely, but kind of every time we check in around the leagues, we had commented before that they were not having as good of a season. I mean, it's going to be between Sporting and Benfica, I believe, and I think Benfica are actually in a stronger position. Obviously, Sporting won the league last year, but
Mhm.
I think this might be Benfica's year. I think they were impressive at the Club World Cup. I think they have a pretty solid team, so and a good manager. So I think they could do it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens with them. Um, but yeah, as I mentioned, Benfica, Sporting, and then Porto are going to be the teams in Portugal. It's exciting. We're going to go through the season. Every time we have an episode, we're going to go through those 5 leagues and see the updates and everything. But hopefully, our predictions come true, especially the Chelsea prediction. I hope that Chelsea wins it. But obviously, the Champions League and the other European competitions don't start until September. So we're just gonna have to talk about it in our next podcast, our next episode. We're gonna talk about the Champions.
Yeah,
And stuff.
we'll preview those for sure. Let's not forget about Bundesliga as well.
Oh, that's the league I was forgetting about. I apologize. Thanks for reminding me.
No, it's okay. Bundesliga.
Obviously, Harry Kane finally won his trophy. I'm really happy for that guy, man. The Bundesliga. So let's see.
Yeah, Bayern are in a good spot right now. I think Bayern are in a very good spot right now.
I think Leverkusen was probably their main rival, but they lost Xabi Alonso, and they also lost Fitz, like the other midfielder that joined Liverpool.
Mhm.
So it'll be very hard for them to compete against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich is on the ball now. It's his second year against the company. So I really believe that I see Bayern Munich winning that league comfortably.
Yeah.
I think the top 4 is probably going to be Dortmund, Leverkusen, and maybe Leipzig this year. But other than that, no, I don't see any much surprises in the league. I think it's going to be a typical Bundesliga season where Bayern Munich wins comfortably, and then we'll just see what happens next with the rest.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Dortmund were struggling. I think they did finish top 4 in the end last season. They did finish 4th last season in the end, but they were a lot further down the table for a lot of the season. I think that they finished strong last season, and I think they'll be up there again. But Bayern's just such a good team, great coach. They're really well positioned right now, I think, to kind of continue their dominance in that league. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Dortmund, Leverkusen, possibly Leipzig, possibly Eintracht Frankfurt as well. I mean, they've lost some players too, but they always seem to be a team that's kind of up and in and around that top 5, top 6 of the Bundesliga. So I think they will. I think they'll be up there as well. I'm really. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about this season. I think.
Me too.
So even though it's only just been a few weeks since the Club World Cup final, I'm already ready to watch Chelsea back in action and ready to just kind of get back into it again. I'm really
This is
looking
the most
forward to
excited
it.
I've been since 2021, since the summer of 2021. That's the most excited because even in the summer of 2020, I should probably say summer of 2020 because we still had Lampard, we had really good players. That's when we bought Havertz, we bought a lot of good players. So I think that was the most. That's the most. I was also. I mean, I should say. So I should say 2021, summer of 2021. I was also excited. Since then, because 2022, I wasn't that excited because we just got. That's when we lost our owner Abramovich, and we had a new owners that came in. It was kind of a mess. So I will say summer 2021. So it's been 4 years. That's the last time. The last summer I was excited about Chelsea season. So I'm excited this season. Hopefully things work out with the club, and hopefully win the Prem. I think we haven't won the Prem in 8 years, so it's gonna be 9 years by the end of this season. So I think it's time for us to win it, and just it's gonna be funny if we win, if we win the Premier League before Arsenal, despite all our terrible years. Imagine we just go win the Premier League next season. It's gonna be so funny. I hope we make it happen because that'd be so funny, man.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Okay, so you also don't want to end this episode without mentioning Diogo Jota. who died sadly in a car crash this summer with his brother, who was also a professional football player. Um, that just shows us how life is very unpredictable. Anybody can die at any point of time, and if you want to, just don't take life for granted. Go for after your dreams like he did. He played in one of the best clubs in the world, arguably the best club in England in history. And then obviously, he played for the national team. So great player. I think he's going to be missed, honestly, as a football fan. So we just want to obviously give tribute to him before the end of this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we have an exciting season ahead of us. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it all pans out, and just to everybody that is a fan of football, I hope you enjoy the season as well. I hope your team does well. Unless they're playing against Chelsea, then I hope they don't do well. And as always, we thank you for your support. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next month.
See you next month.